If you've ever spent your Monday evening listening to a historic X broadcast, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. Welcome back. Happy Tuesday. We were slated here for the PPI print, but oh my gosh, we got some Chipotle and Starbucks news. We're going to break it down. We're going to look at the SPY. We're going to go over movers. We're going to go over what you're looking for. We're going to do it all here today, and we're going to have fun while we're doing it. Let's roll.
Welcome to Benzinga Live Trading.
Let's see if this actually kind of comes back.
Way out of control, got way too high.
All right. Hey, I will take that. I will absolutely take that.
Hello and welcome back. And I caught Joel just as we were leaving the last show saying we're really, really late. And the truth is, if you're talking sports and getting prepared for the football season, that is okay. And you are not late. We're here now. Time to get at it. Let me bring on my main man, 13. 13, how are you doing here today, dude?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm just coming off of a really good day yesterday and having a good morning. Let's have another good day. Let's keep it going.
Yes, indeed. I am also coming off of a good day. I am looking forward to a good day. I mean, look, I know I got stopped out on GNLN yesterday while we were on the show. But good golly, Miss Molly, that thing went absolutely. We have so much to talk about that name because literally we were predicting the future correctly. 13. We need to go over that. We're gonna do that here when we finish with some of the like the SPY and the market rundown and all of that. But we have absolutely got to talk about GNLN and what took place from start to finish. That was incredible. That was absolutely incredible. So okay, but you're doing good, right? You're in good shape. You're ready to roll. Okay. And Alex, good morning, dude. Great to see you again. I would like to reiterate what Alex is saying right here. Good morning, friends. Please hit that like so this awesome show can keep coming to us. We're very, very lucky that something easy and free can support us so much. So as Alex is saying there, please go ahead and hit that like and hit that subscribe just to make sure you get all of those notifications. We love each and every one of you. Okay, let's go ahead and dive right in. So the first thing we're going to take a look at here is the SPY. Now we did get the PPI here today. SPY was higher on that. Prior to that PPI print, SPY was kind of having trouble getting above the 536 level. I have 535 here and change, but let's just call it 536 for the sake of ease. Once we got that print, we've now moved through there. Full disclosure, I've actually broke one of my rules and bought some stock here in the pre-market. I took a little bit of SQQQ in the prop firm account for the purpose of a trade here. I think that maybe we come back in, maybe off the open, maybe throughout the course of the day. So I'm long SQQQ on a contrarian here. I think the market pulls back. We'll see if I'm right about that right around the open here. As far as levels go, we talked about this yesterday. We are now, at least currently here, we are now into this second gap, which fills up at 542. We do have a couple of moving averages right in front of us. We got the 20-day at 539.80. Let's call that 540. You think my squawk is on?
Okay, yeah, I heard that too.
Stop.
Yeah, I heard,
Oh, well, that's interesting. So it played through here. Okay.
Yeah, I heard
it was
mine. I thought it was mine, so I turned it off, and it was still going.
Interesting. Okay, listen, we just learned something here today. I can actually stream the squawk. Now, I don't want to do that because we've got some licensing issues with that, but good to know. Good to know. And if you guys don't know who Charlie is, you ought to start a trial of the Benzinga Pro and check it out because that squawk's an amazing tool here. Big shout, Alyssa. Had no idea. I was actually testing this for a customer earlier today and left it on. And so how about that? Thank you very much. Anyway, as far as the SPY goes here, 20-day moving average at about 540, 50-day moving average at 543.50. And obviously we have the trend line to get back over. I'm trying to say that I don't think that we really kind of continue this here today with the short that I just opened, but we'll see. We'll see here. 13, do you have anything levels wise here for the SPY?
Nothing new than what I've already been talking about. Still have that 5% pullback level that's just under 537. Mentioned that multiple times. We're kind of trading close to that right now. So I don't really want to see us get over that. That would really start to make me wonder if this whole bear case, for a correction is over or not. But I don't want to think that way. So I'm just going to be watching to see what happens with the 357 level. If we go to the downside, I'm still looking at 530. I think that's a big support level down there. But other than that, just kind of waiting for this market to do its thing. We, I'll also mention that it's going to be driven mostly by these economic and earnings reports and news headlines. So that's why we didn't get a whole lot of movement yesterday. Just kind of a neutral candle, and it just was that there was nothing really interesting going on. So didn't get a whole lot of movement. Now with the out, we got this push up towards that 537 level. And there's some other things that's going on behind the scenes too. Apparently, the yen carry trade may be back on as well.
Yeah, and today's number was actually just kind of a warm up. I know that pre-market prep talked about this earlier today. They're exactly right. The bigger print is going to be tomorrow, so this just seems like preparation for that. We'll see what ends up happening. Really quick here, I just want to test something since we're in the process of learning about technology here. I'm going to play a video from in a different web browser. Do you guys hear this?
I do not hear it.
Okay, Alyssa, do you hear that? Chat,
No.
do you hear that? Okay, sweet. So we just learned something really, really important. Any window that I share here with you on the screen will also share the audio. So that could be very, very helpful if we need to play audio or play a squawk for something like that. And then any other browser window, it does not play the sound. So that's where the confusion was. Really good to know here. When I've done this before, I've actually been using the beta website in a different browser. Some of the days I actually do have the squawk on in my ear. And now I understand exactly why that works and doesn't work. So thank you very much for helping me go through that. Okay. Also, good breakdown there on the SPY. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Let's run through the movers here real quick. Then we'll start talking about some of the bigger stocks. I know we're going to talk about Chipotle and Starbucks. I really want to get the chat's opinion on all of that stuff. And we'll talk about, whatever else you folks want to take a look at stock-wise. So let's go ahead and run through the movers here real quick. Let me bring that up. We're going to start here. We're going to talk about GNLN in a little bit. We got to get through the rest of them here first. First one here is going to be CXAI, ticker CXAI. They reported earnings after hours yesterday. And then they also, the CX app shares are trading higher after the company announced a deal and multi-year agreement with Google Cloud. So you're getting some more, good news PR there. Stock up 68% here in the pre-market. This is without a doubt the biggest move, or the biggest mover here this morning, excuse me. And so far, it's actually doing pretty well, right? We had the pop off the earnings yesterday. We kind of traded sideways here. We're in the exact same area today. So I'd kind of want to watch this area, maybe the top side breakout here at 268. We also should watch 260, and then a potential breakdown, two areas to look at, 233 here, maybe 220, 219 to the downside. So that's kind of what I'm looking at here with CXAI 13. What say you on this one?
Well, this has a 11 million share float, so it's going to be able to be moved around like we want. One of the earliest levels that I'm looking at right now is 270. We're trading beneath that right now. We're actually just beneath the VWAP. 270 is interesting to me. That's kind of where we topped out just a moment ago, or about an hour ago. We also have some highs and pre-market that go up to $3, and then an after-hours high of 313 following their earnings. So those are going to be some of the earliest levels that we'll be going after for the upside on this one. Took a look at the company's financials to see if this is going to be one of those where they need to, reverse split or raise cash. It doesn't appear like they're in that position to really do either of those right now. So, there could be an offering, but they have cash on hand. They got $5 million on hand. So that should be enough cash to at least sustain them for the next quarter or two. They do have varying levels of net income over the different quarters, but I don't see a reason for them to quite raise yet. But just keep that in mind. They still might need cash. That's really all I got on CXAI, though. There's more. We traded this before. I have multiple levels higher up into the fours, but let's see if we can even get past 313 first.
Yep, really good stuff there. Talk money to me anytime that you can, 13, when you're talking about some of these movers. Really, really good stuff. We're going to cover a little bit more of that here in a sec. Next here is going to be ticker MKDW. This is MKDwell Tech. Full disclosure, never seen this before. Never traded this before. Not really sure what this ticker is. Looks like it's kind of new here. MKDwell Tech is a company engaged in supplying automotive electronics for passenger cars, modified commercial vehicles, camper vans, and logistics vehicles. Take a look here again. Kind of looks like this is a recent issue here, end of July. So we'll see what's going on here. 13, you got anything on this one? I know it's kind of a newer issue, not a whole lot of history. I don't have a float reading here. You got anything on this?
They completed a business merger with Cetus Capital. I'm not sure if that's a SPAC or not. It could be, but that's what they became. They became this company. They have a 1.71 million share float. Didn't see any news to drive this, but I think that because of how far it's fallen, it's just maybe rebounding off these lows, because it had a pretty violent upward move the second, earlier this month in August. So this could just be a rebound. I don't really have a whole lot on this. I'm just bringing it here because it's moving. I don't really have any levels marked off either. I can see from the pre-market that we got 235 is the high. We're pretty far away from VWAP, so this could be one of the ones that just pops out of the gate, runs up to VWAP, and then comes back in, does a whole bunch of other stuff later on throughout the day. Not sure about this one, but going to be watching for that movement out of the gate up to VWAP, see if we get that.
Okay, real good stuff there. This one kind of has the feeling for one of those that bottoms out and then rips. Remember the last time we saw one of these really fade in the pre-market, one of the things I left you with here is, hey, I don't really think this one's going to be on our list. We've got some other targets that appear to be better. And of course, with the quickness right out of the gate, that thing went right to the VWAP and gave a great trade. So I'm not going to do that this time. I'm not going to jinx it. We'll wait and see what the market tells us on this one. Okay, next is going to be ticker CNTM. This is Connect M Technology. Stock's up 20% here, which is just a quarter, up 25 cents. This was actually up in the after-hours session yesterday, and then again higher here in the pre-market. Although we've backed off some of those highs, we're still holding higher there. Publishes an impact scorecard for the 6 months that ended in June. This is what we got yesterday morning. And then today, powering the electrification segment with AI-driven innovation. Bingo, you got your winner there. You got AI in the PR. I've seen this a million times. Connect M ranks number 104 on the Incorporated 5000. So a couple of PRs here kind of touting this, a little bit of an AI drop here. Stock, I don't have a float reading here. Stock on average trades about 1.2 million shares today. We've traded almost 3 prior to the market opening. You got anything here on CNTM 13?
It has 5 million shares in the float. Really interesting price action over the past couple of months. I think this was a SPAC previously, so that's why you're getting this sudden drop off beneath 10 and kind of bottoming down here at around $1. That's what my initial guess is. I could be wrong about that, but this is trying to recover off of all that downside movement. Look at the RSI, been down here for so long, finally curling back up. And then that news is definitely helping it too. Now, I don't see any, being that it's so new, I don't see any reverse splits or offerings. But other than that, just the news is driving it, and this low float. Really not seeing a whole lot of other stuff. As far as upside levels goes, let's see if it can take out. Gosh, I don't know, 17. All right, hold on a second. I have the wrong one. I'm sorry. I have CTNM on my broker.
The transposition of letters. Gotcha. Happens to the best of us, 13.
So right now, this one's trying to get over VWAP. Let's see if it can break out of that and get up to 158 to 160. And we'll just go from there.
Okay. Sounds good to me. We are going to cover Starbucks here in a sec. Believe me, and I will make sure that we leave enough time for that. So don't worry about that. Last one here that I really want to mention, then we'll turn it over to you folks. So if I missed anything that you guys want to talk about, do not despair. We will talk about that here shortly. Next one here is going to be ticker GCTS, Golf Charlie Tango Sierra. GCT, I almost screwed it up there. GCT Semiconductor shares are trading higher after the company signed a memorandum of understanding with Samsung to to accelerate the development of 4G and 5D chipsets and modules that caused this stock to pop almost as high as $5. We've really backed off that high here, retraced most of this move, but it does look like we're curling and going to try and make a move back to the VWAP. This is going to be the first thing that we want to see here. If we could take out some of this sideways area and move back to the VWAP, maybe we'll have an early trade there. And if not, we'll see where this thing kind of settles up. But that's why this is moving here this morning. Do you have anything on GCTS?
29 million shares in the float. They have earnings tomorrow. That's basically the only other bullet points that I have. Right now, this thing is trying to push back up to VWAP. As a matter of fact, this is going right now. It's trying to make a move up to VWAP. It's I started seeing a little bit
actually,
of
literally, as we were talking, it broke out of the sideways area and made a move. Here we go. So we will reassess here when the market opens.
Yeah, but it's going to VWAP. It looks like it might get rejected there. Might push through, but I think that's going to. We'll probably see it push through after the market opens. That's kind of what I'm thinking at the moment. But we're saying is GCTS going to rip? It could very well rip. It's looking like it's getting the attention, getting the momentum going. But I don't. And
again, let's see what happens when the volume really starts to pour in when the market opens here. That's pretty much all I had here from the movers. Some of these smaller, junkier stocks, kind of the lighter names. But we do have some big news here in big stock land. And that is going to be right as pre-market prep started. Dennis, of course, being the pro that he is, was able to bring you this news instantly. Chipotle, ticker CMG. Chipotle Mexican Grill shares are trading lower after the company announced that the chairman and CEO, Brian Niccol, will be leaving the company. And more specifically, Brian Niccol will be taking over at Starbucks. So the second half of what we look at here will be for ticker SBucks. We're going to start here with the Chipotle side of this. A couple of things here. Number one, you'll notice Chipotle down 8.72%. If we take a look inside, we were actually down 10% earlier. We got sub 50 prints on this in the pre-market. Chipotle here holding lower at just under 9% lower. So here's the thing that I'm kind of thinking about. And I would love to get the back and forth from you folks here. I definitely want to hear all of the opinions from all of the different sides. But this is kind of what I'm thinking here on Chipotle. First of all, Jay, just to kind of address something, I know we were talked about trading this one earlier. Ryan, hope you took some targets. Yes, this actually printed above 55. I closed those calls that were 55 calls. We're in good shape, made money on that trade. I'm actually going to use profits from that trade to trade this again. And what I think is going on here, or the way I think about this trade here, potential pairs trade. Okay, potential pairs trade. But the angle that I'm really kind of going after here is going to be Chipotle long. I think about the CEO change. I think about all this stuff, and I think to myself, man, I'm not going to eat less burritos because Brian Niccol went to Starbucks. Like, that doesn't make any sense at all. Yeah, if the new CEO comes in and change things and the price doubles and all of that stuff, you know, the quality goes down, yeah, then I might have a different opinion, but that's going to be down the road. Here, where we sit here today, I don't think this is going to affect me eating at Chipotle. I'm not going to miss the CEO. I didn't know the guy. So to me, this is kind of an opportunity to buy this. Now, if you want to wait and see if this shakes out here, see what the market does with this, I totally understand that. And actually, I think that might be really smart. I didn't buy this here in the pre-market. I'm not looking to buy the opening print, but I do want to see how this kind of trades here today. And I am interested in this on the long side, especially considering I just closed a trade last week for profits on this name. So that's kind of what I'm looking at here for Chipotle. 13, do you have any initial thoughts on Chipotle that you want to get in here?
Well, it's back beneath the 200-day SMA. So if we continue to get stay underneath there, I could see a scenario where we're going down under 50, and with all the uncertainty with this changing of CEOs and chairmen, that could lead to some more downside until we get some quarters where we can actually see that the new CEO is performing well. So I think there could be some downside ahead, and if there is, I like this closer to 43.
Okay. So that I like that. I like the patient measured approach there. One of the things that, if I take a look here at the daily chart, we we're above that 200-day, which was really great. We've actually gapped down beneath it. So a couple of things now set up for this. First of all, there's definitely some support here at 49.70. And in fact, I think that's what we tagged here. 49.53. But yeah, 49.70 here. We actually tagged that in the pre-market. That level is going to be important once we actually open here. If I go back to the daily chart here, outside of that, we're kind of in no man's land here. RSI is kind of in the middle. I guess more on the lower end here, but not necessarily oversold yet. So one of the other things that I'm going to be looking here, especially considering that I am looking for a long side trade here, boy, oh boy, if we recapture this 200-day at 53.54, look out. I think this thing goes a lot higher. It is worth noting that if there is any weakness that's going to kind of stick around in here, like 13 was just kind of outlining, it may actually find resistance at that level. So we'll have to see what that battle looks like when we trade up there, if and when we trade up there.
One thing that is going to happen here on the technical side is that if it does not recapture that 200-day, and probably by the end of this month, it's very possible that this chart on the daily will go a real death cross. And that'll be an indicator that there's more downside coming. We're getting close to that. The 50 days making its way towards the 200 and not in the right way you want. So it's just something I'm watching for. I'm not in this, but just waiting to see if one of those two things happen. Got to recapture that 200-day SMA, and if not, then I think we're going to break down beneath 50 and go down to as far as 43.
Okay, really good stuff here on CMG. Just to reiterate, I have no position, but I am looking for one now, given the news, and I'm looking for the long side. Now, the other side of this news here is going to be, click the hot key reference there. The other side of this is going to be Starbucks, okay? And that's Starbucks here up 17% here in the pre-market. You can see on the chart here, we've actually gapped above the 200-day. When we first started talking about this in the pre-show fist fight, I had said to 13, hey, look at the price that Starbucks went to. It had gone right to the 200-day. Now here in the pre-market, we're trading above this. Timing couldn't be better for you, huh? 13, you were talking about adding this long. Tell me about it. What's going on here?
Well, they like the new CEO, seeing as how they had all this success with Chipotle and getting that price up and everything that the CEO has been doing. I guess investors are expecting that's going to translate into the CEO coming over here above the 200-day SMA now, but still beneath the 500. That's going to be the SMA that it needs to hold, in my opinion. It's going to have to hold that 200-day SMA. Mm-hmm. And unlike CMG, if it does do that later on this year, continues to hold that 200-day SMA, we will get a golden cross. And that will imply that we can take this even higher. So that's a ways away, though. The 50 and the 200 are quite far away, but we will be getting a silver cross soon, which is when the 20 crosses the 50.
And that's right down here. That's this purple line going to come through that yellow line there. So we'll see if we get that. Okay. Good stuff here on Starbucks. I know that by the way, the CEO transition is effective September 9th. So they're going to give them some time. These gentlemen, they're going to give them some time to clean out their desks and get all of their desk accoutrements ready and changed over there. So that's basically when this is going to take place. There was some talk here about a pairs trade. So maybe if you don't really buy the Starbucks hype here and you think this is kind of overdone, up 17.5% here, maybe a short Starbucks, long Chipotle, I'm opting to go, at least at this point, I'm opting to go for just the long side of the Chipotle trade. But as 13 just outlined, if we really kind of lose this 200-day and it looks weak, I could be convinced to actually jump on the short side there. One more thing that I wanted to mention here, I'm actually going to shout out one of our members from the happy hour who sometimes joins us here on live trading. I found this really helpful this morning when all of this news was breaking, and we talked very highly about our community all of the time, and I figured that this was a really good opportunity to put that in here. Stay Focused, who you will see in here, said earlier, Ryan, looking at Scott Boatwright's background, he has been at Chipotle for 7+ years as the COO. This is the guy that's now stepping into the CEO role with the absence of Brian Niccol. This is good as he was in the chair before CEO Niccol got to Chipotle. Scott will work hard to try and hold that CEO slot. It's a huge promotion. This type of stuff is extremely helpful. And this just kind of bolsters my point that I really don't think things kind of change around here fundamentally for Chipotle. We know on this show and we know in this job, CEOs absolutely do matter. And when you see reactions like this, when some of the management team changes, that's proof of that. But trying to take a longer term approach here, stay focused. I really appreciated this due diligence, figured I'd share it with you. It's kind of what I'm looking at. The other thing here for all my Seinfeld fans out there, every time I read Scott's name, Scott Boatwright, I think of the episode where they go to the Chinese restaurant and they talk to the guy at the desk. Is Cartwright for? So if you're a Seinfeld fan and you know the Cartwright episode, I'll tell you what, reading Boatwright every single time, it puts a smile on my face, and I will take that. Okay, we have less than a minute until we open here, looking at about 20 seconds. I'm going to go ahead and flip over to the main workspace and the scanner, but I'm also going to remind you that the stream is sponsored by Trade the Pool. So if you need help getting above that day trading threshold or simply need some more dry powder, Trade the Pool is the place to go. And we got a little bit of a surprise coming up, courtesy of the nice folks at Trade the Pool, coming a little bit later this week. I think that's on Thursday, so be sure to tune in, and we're open.
Nice way.
I got that. I was ready, dude. I was on that one. That's gold, Ryan. Gold. We got more Seinfeld fans in here. Seinfeld for? Let's go. We're going to have a good Tuesday morning. Here we go.
GCTS trying to push out of the open. Getting some good volume.
This is coming up to the VWAP here. Actually, let me flip over to Trade the Pool here. As I mentioned earlier, I did take an SQQ position, so I'm a little bit down on that. 200 shares long here at 943 on SQQQ. We'll see where that goes here. I'm okay holding that. I've traded this back and forth a whole bunch of times. Let's go ahead and check in on some of those movers.
Yep, they're both. I see CXAI and GCTS are trying to push up. GCTS didn't really work at the beginning. Maybe it pushes up again. So trying to hold it. Well, they just lost 380.
This is GTCS. I have the wrong stock pulled up here. Okay, GCTS. Boy, I have to type it in correctly. 13. I got a lot of stuff I got to do here.
GCTS with the rejection at VWAP coming down to the 65 EMA on the 5 minute.
I know we didn't really go over these, but it's worth mentioning here. Home Depot actually had a pretty strong morning here. They were traded lower on the report, but actually went green, holding here at about 340. So be interesting to watch Home Depot. One sec, 13. I'll go right back to you. ON here also being mentioned. This moved lower and then went green. This is still strong. All right, 13. Sorry about that.
CXAI ripping. CNPM popped over VWAP and then dropped down. So far, CXAI looking like the strong one. MKDW, that one hasn't done really anything yet. Looks like GCTS is trying to turn around.
Okay. CXAI, definitely strength right off the open there.
Yep, we're back up to that 270 spot. Just tested that, didn't break through it. But when we do, 295 is going to be next.
I saw Serve got a mention here. It looks like this traded up in the pre-market, came back to VWAP here right after the open.
And there's CXAI through 270, looking for 295 next. And then 313.
13, you are all over these levels, my man. QQQ above the gap, says Parker. We'll see if this turns around here. Look, if the market just wants to rage all day, we can close this SQQQ and reset here. Really not down a whole lot on these 200 shares. Actually, what makes this quite easy to trade. Doesn't feel like some of these more volatile puppies, to use Joel's parlance here. CXAI continuing to push here. We'll see if it gets above 280. Let's check in on CMG here real quick. This actually rolled over sub 50 here. This is the shakeout that we wanted to happen. This is why I was not thrilled on adding this long right out of the open. I want this news to kind of shake through the price, and we'll try and focus on our entry and make that as tactical as possible. Let's take a look at Starbucks. What's going on, Purgatory Park? That ripping more here. Wow. Continuing to go out of the gate. Look, CEOs matter. CEOs matter.
CXAI got as high as 288, looking for 295 before we get this pullback. We might get a little bit sooner, but that's okay.
Starbucks off those highs now, but this thing just absolutely raging this morning here. SBucks really strong, up 20% here right past the open.
That's a popular CEO to be able to move the stock like this.
Oh, yeah. CXAI backing off that high there. I have that high print at 289. That's very close to the high of the pre-market session opening candle here this morning.
Soundhound also ripping too. That got up to 547. That broke all the highs from yesterday.
Looks like Bex is on Soundhound as well. Let's see if this pops off the top here.
Looking for 575. I mentioned that yesterday. I was looking for 575 yesterday. We didn't get it. Got as high as about 538 before we put in a head and shoulders intraday, and didn't go any higher than that.
Seeing NVIDIA call flow coming through the unusual options scanner here. NVIDIA actually was higher in the pre-market, came back into its VWAP. I mean, looking at the price and looking at the flow here, sure looks like people are taking NVIDIA call positions at VWAP here. See if that holds up, but that's what I see. Smoke Tuna with the daily reminder to buy the weakness and not the tops. Thank you, Smoke Tuna. Sometimes we all need that reminder.
And CXAI trying to push for that 295 that we were talking about. Still not able to get up there, but he's trying. And
so just kind of taking what Smoke Tuna was just saying here and applying it to the stock that we're looking at, we really want this to come back into a support level. We want this to show weakness, show some selling volume, maybe even a pull, and then use that as our opportunity to buy when that spot holds. So we'll see where we go here. CXAI looks like it's trying to figure out what next direction it wants to roll.
Jonathan Cooper is mentioning MIGI, Bitcoin plan.
Yeah, we took a look at this last week. I feel like there was one of the days where this was really going. This actually pretty strong out of the gate here. We'll see if it takes out the after hours highs on this.
This is a relative volume move that we're seeing, because that volume yesterday, that was big. So now it pushed over the 500-day SMA. That's interesting.
Big close over that 200-day. Okay. I think now is a really good time. Brittany here mentioning GNLN is moving. Let's talk about this because 13, look, this is, first of all, this is definitely moving. Here we are, 1082. Remember, we were trading this lower yesterday. Thing was incredibly volatile. In fact, if I back out here, kind of get an idea of what's going on. Let's follow the entire chart here. We were trying to trade this for a VWAP breakout, and we kept getting head faked. In fact, you can see that there were multiple candles here on this 3-minute time frame that were faking the breakout. It did this all day. It even tried again here in the lunch hour, and then again in the afternoon. Now, when it finally crossed that VWAP, we actually didn't get the pop that we were looking for. The whole trade plan centered around a move through that VWAP that was going to give us a tradable setup. Well, we didn't get that. We did get kind of a slow hold, and then all of a sudden, a little bit later, after we built above the VWAP, this thing really started to get crazy. And who was this that said this? Who was this that said this? Who gave me the level on this? Parker's Thinkorswim Indicator seeing GNLN. Did you see it hit 21 yesterday? Yeah, printed 21.5 yesterday. And then look at this knife. Now, I'm not going to steal 13's thunder. I'm going to give this to 13. 13, tell us what happened here on GNLN yesterday, and tell us how we were preparing for this yesterday.
A lot of times when we're trading these really junky low float, like micro float names, I'm always looking at their financials, seeing how much cash they have on hand. I'm looking at their shares. I'm looking at their price. There's a couple of things that these companies always like to do. They like to reverse split to stay compliant with their listing, so that they have to be above $1. So in order to do that, they will do reverse splits to compress the number of shares and raise the price. It's an equivalency. That's number one. Number two is that they do that because they can't just continue to add more shares to the current price when it's as low as it is. So what they'll do is they'll do the reverse split, and then they'll make an offering to raise that money. Sometimes they'll have a fixed amount that they're going to raise it at, and other times they'll do at market price. This was one of the ones that did it at market price, and we were we were waiting for this because we had already talked about that yesterday, how they needed money. They had just done a reverse split, so they were already going through the steps. The only other thing they needed to do next was raise that and make those offerings. And as soon as it got up into the 20s, that's exactly what they did. And it absolutely cratered the stock. It's not even a knife at this point. That is a broadsword of a downturn. So we were watching this the whole time. We looked at levels from previous price action. We had 14 and 20 pegged as a couple of levels we were watching. Got through 14, held above that, and when it did, it ripped to 20, and that's when the offering came in. So this is one of the things you have to expect when it comes to these really low float junky names that don't have cash, especially if they've done a recent reverse split. Their next step is to raise money. That's what this one did, and we were on the right side of every trade.
And that's exactly right. And that's what I really wanted to cover here. This actually goes to show you a couple of things that we say on this show. Look, first of all, I'm going to cover what you're saying here. Making a case that this is, in fact, a junky company. I'm going to cover those comments here in a sec. But the important takeaway here is that we identified something that was moving based purely on a catalyst that might have been a little bit skeptical. We're able to use technical analysis to figure out some different price levels, and we're able to use some of the indicators like VWAP to tell if the stock is strong or not. And then we actually look at its financials and where it sits to kind of make an informed decision on what the future holds here. By doing that, we're able to trade this junky name, and there were plenty of opportunities here in the afternoon to really get the good trades. I know I got stopped out when we were on the show, but was able to scalp this a few times in the afternoon as it really started to run, and this thing's changed here. I knew that this thing was junky. We talked about it. We talked about how they were going to need money. We forecasted that this type of thing would happen. That doesn't mean that you can't trade it. But when we sit here and we tell you, hey, this thing's kind of junky, probably not a really good idea to hold this overnight. This is the type of stuff that we're talking about. And you get to see it in real time here, 13. That was a great call yesterday. That was a great breakdown here today. I know that you weren't hurt because you were prepared for this, but this is what we do. This is what traders do. This is what makes us different from investors. I'm okay buying Chipotle. I don't feel good buying GNLN on some fentanyl test strip news. No, it's different. However, put on your trading cap and execute it. 13, I think you did a masterful job on this.
I appreciate that. And I was saying in the chat too, as soon as that first pop that ripped and made new intraday highs, I said, that's it. I'm sitting on my hands now because this is where they can start to do those offerings. This is where you can start to get these broadswords on you. I just had to sit on my hands. Even when I was watching this thing go past 14 and 20, I was like, oh man, this is a great move. But I didn't want to be on that part of that knife. So I just had to sit on my hands. Getting back to the market real quick, XIII, that popped all the way up to 294 and didn't get to the 295 we were looking for. But it's getting some support right now from the 270 area. So maybe it'll hold here. Slightly beneath VWAP, not great, but we want to see a recapture that here. So that's the next thing to watch for XIII.
Okay. And real quickly, just to close the discussion here on GNLN, AH here, I think that you said that you knew people that worked here or something. There was some inside angle that you had, AH. Remind me what that is. I don't want to speak on your behalf. The fence strip company has 2 employees. It's from Boca, the same place that GNLN is from. There have been some very questionable things going on with the company. The fence strips aren't FDA approved. I know upper management, current and past employees. This is what it was. Thank you. Be careful with that stock, please. So this is what we're going to try and do. We're going to try and keep you abreast of all of the news and what's moving some of these stocks around. But when we come across something that has a potential landmine in the future, we're going to call it. That's what 13 did yesterday. I hope that stuff kept you safe.
I know I'm getting a mention on Hollow here because it's popping right now too. Maybe this is that move we're talking about. Maybe it isn't. I think it might be a little early. It certainly doesn't look like it has the volume it needs to take off like those other past times it has. But if you're gonna do the lottery ticket, that's up to you folks. It's if you're willing to have it go to zero.
This still in penny stock territory, but we've seen how fast these things can move in the past. Keep that in mind. We'll see if that happens here with Hollow again.
Yeah. Might happen later in the day too. So as far as the other ones go, CNTM After that pop out of the gate over VWAP and then it dropped, this has been just going right down. It went down to 116. That is not any clear level that I have, but it's getting support there. So I guess the hope is that it recaptures the 200 EMA on the 5-minute, which it's currently trying to do. It doesn't look good with CNTM right now.
CNTM. Here you go.
Yeah.
And real quick on the SQQQ trade, which is the trade that we entered today long on from the pre-market here. Looks like SQQQ did make it back to the VWAP, but was unable to get above that. We'll see if that changes. Hello, office assistant. What are you doing? He's going to cause trouble, but that's okay. We're here for it. So anyway, looking here at the SQQQ, this breaks new lows. Maybe we'll kind of reassess here. I want to take a look at some of the tech stocks across the board. Looks like NVIDIA crossing through the VWAP here. How's SMCI doing? That's been kind of an active trader recently. Looks like that's kind of rolling around here.
Jonathan Cooper's on top of MIGI. That thing popped all the way to 244. And it's CXAI still holding that 270, so that's encouraging if you're still trying to play this to the upside.
Palantir, this moving to the high end of the range that at 30.33. This was actually from a pre-market range that we had identified. What was this? This was yesterday, the 12th. This was yesterday morning. Remember, Palantir made a big move up, came back in. We'll see if it's able to get above this level here. Good call there on Palantir.
Shant asking about Clove.
Clove, yeah, I've been ignoring the Clove calls because literally for the past 3 days we've done nothing but hear Clove, and literally the stock has been in a 2-cent range and it's not really been worth talking about. However, today it does seem like it's breaking it. Look at this range that it was in pretty much all day yesterday. Yeah. Literally nothing happened yesterday. Nothing. Today here we're getting a little bit of a volume pop. Is there news associated with this? Looks like yesterday after hours here, Clover Health Investments, the director, chief executive officer, paid for shares or tax 183. If we take a look at the insiders tab here, this does not represent a buy or a sell in the open market. This is a tax maneuver here. Clove still up 6.68% here. I don't know. You see anything here on Clove?
It's a health insurance or healthcare technology company. I don't know if there's, it might be, and it's apparently related to health insurance. I don't know if the insurers are going today. Let's take a look at UNH. That one's up 1.2%. So there might be something on the health insurance side that we're not seeing. If we're seeing that one, and what's Anthem's ticker? Can you help me with that?
That's ANTM, right? Let me see. ANTM. No. Yeah, no. Anthem Incorporated. ANTM. That's it, right? Anthem Inc.
Oh, AMTM?
AN Alpha Nancy Tango Mary. But I don't think that's it.
I don't see it, no.
Okay. Anyway, we'll try to figure that out here in a sec. Well, I don't know what there is to say about Clove here. It looks like we had a triple bottom that was put in 2022, right around the level that we're testing right here. If we look at the daily chart, yes, this most recent formation kind of bullish here. We'll see if it really kind of breaks out. Look, I don't know what the catalyst here is for Clove. I'm willing to listen to it, but haven't heard it from anybody yet.
All right, so CXAI got a print over 295. It hit a high at 297 and came back in. Might see this thing whip around a little bit until it actually makes its move over 3. But that's only if it can continue to hold 270.
CMG here looking like we're printing 48s, trying to bounce here at the 49 level. CMG. Jay Rice saying, I think Anthem was bought out. That would explain why the ticker, I couldn't pull it up. Because it did say Anthem and Core. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. That would make sense here. By the way, Palantir, that move still pushing higher here on Palantir. SPY still pushing to the highs here. I'll tell you what, that QQQ short not working so far here. But here you go. We'll see if this ends up putting in top.
Well, what is going on?
CXAI still doing good. FMC trading up here. Lion Atlas.
Did that? Oh yeah, it dropped out of the gate and now it's coming back up. That's nice.
Tesla absolutely ripping. Lynn and Randy, you folks got to be absolutely beside yourself. Happiness here.
All Max 7's green today. Let me take a look at Bitcoin. I haven't looked at that this morning. Still beneath 60K. Wants to recapture it. It looks like. Not sure when we get that, but it looks like it's going to be a 60K kind of day at some point here.
Look at Eli Lilly getting a mention here. Jay Harris, awesome stuff here. Eli Lilly up out of the gate. Where is the? So this is right. Yeah, let's. Okay, so it did get above this intraday high and then this pre-market level. Let's see if we build above. If we do, I think probably 930 going to be your next target here. Eli Lilly, ticker LLY.
You know, the ex-dividend being in 2 days. I wonder if it's just they're just trying to pump it up. And you know, when the ex-dividend day passes, they just exit it since they're going to be on record. So they'll get the dividend, they'll get the extra equity from the pushing up. I don't know, just a thought. Not saying that that's what's going to happen, but it's interesting that it's moving up like it is with the ex-date approaching.
Okay. Miggy, so this is, we were talking about this one earlier. Looks like this kind of knifed here.
Oh, wow.
Big knife really down to that pre-market consolidation area.
Jonathan Cooper, I hope you did well on this one and didn't get caught in that.
Amanda here saying, I feel like we fall this afternoon. I'm going to watch NVIDIA when it runs into a wall. I'm going to short the Qs. This is kind of what I was thinking here too. I thought maybe, you know, we get this print out of the way. There's a little bit of exuberance to the upside. And then at some point today, we kind of turn around. Be honest with you, so far we haven't done that as SQQQ continues to hit lows here. Tony earlier said, it seems a little crazy shorting the Qs right now. Tony, I definitely agree with you in terms of the, you know, I'm trying to actually open up a short exposure position on the way up. That can be crazy. But the other thing that I want to highlight here is this is exactly why I use SQQQ instead of shorting the Qs outright. Despite me feeling this way, I would not short the Qs outright. I'd be much more liable to do SQQQ here. It's going to be easier for me to trade that. So it's a little bit easier for me to take a risky trade. And I'll give it a little leeway. As you can see on 200 shares, only down about $35 here. And that can change in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I think we were also looking at the VIX in relation to the QQQ or the SQQQ trade, right? Because we had a pop over 20 yesterday.
Yes, we did. And actually, VIX here was starting to curl up a little bit in the morning. It's being melted now, but it did show some signs of maybe trading up here in the morning. Amanda giving us another option here. Rye, I hate the price action on SQQQ. I understand that. And in a perfect world here, SQQQ would reverse split. It actually would give us better price action. It would make the trading action a little bit better. Completely agree with you here. I usually short TQQQ. Now, careful with that because, again, you're still shorting, opening yourself up to unlimited risk. And that TQQQ product is levered. So you can do that, but just be careful. That's another opportunity to open up that short exposure here.
Brad's question has me, you know, kind of thinking several different things here. Tomorrow's CPI should push the market higher. That's depending on what the print is. But if it's showing that inflation is going down, I think that makes the case for the Fed to be able to cut rates. But I think because of the yen carry trade, you know, scare, the unwinding scare. I don't know that cutting rates is going to be something that they want to do right away. I think if the Bank of Japan is talking about holding off on rate raises and the Fed is talking about maybe holding off on cuts, then the yen carry trade is going to be back on. So I'm kind of wondering if good news is going to be bad news again. I really can't answer that question because I'm kind of on both sides of the fence. You see how, like, I'm kind of wondering one thing could affect another.
Yeah, it almost seems like you're thinking, hey, they kind of got an opportunity to get bailed out of this, and then instead of getting bailed out of it, they're like, oh well, party on, Wayne. Let's just keep the trade on. Inevitably kicking the can down the road. I mean, I'm with you on that. What do you think happens here? Can I get your gut opinion on what you think, how this plays out?
Well, if the CPI is lower than than what we were looking for, and it shows that inflation's on a sustainable path to go under 2%, which would be incredible, then I think that might worry the markets. That a Fed rate cut is coming sooner than they thought, and it might cause instability because people are back on, or investors back on that yen carry trade again. So I really, it's really going to come down to a lot of decisions that are not in our hands,
Okay. Brad, regard to your question about pushing the market higher here, today is kind of the warm-up print for the CPI print tomorrow. That's going to be more of like I don't know if this is the correct term, but I want to say the more important print. So something to keep in mind there. If the reaction is the same as it is today, it should basically extend the move that we're seeing here today. I'm almost wondering if we're going to get, kind of a reversal here or maybe there's divergence in those. I don't know. To answer your question, though, Brad, yes, if we get a repeat here of today, I would expect the same type of action. I won't. If we get up action all day today, I will not be in an SQQQ short for that print tomorrow. I'll reassess after the print comes out. This is a pretty good thought here. Good thought line there, Brad. And by the way, while that was going, you folks were mentioning Lumen here. I put it up on screen. Lumen did pop. This actually moved off the pre-market low level here. Got that at about 450. 485's coming. Looks like a 5 test might be on deck here for Lumen. That's ticker LUMN.
Kind of interesting, that one on the daily chart. Had 4 down days. Even though
Tom, take care of yourself. Great to see you this morning.
Yeah,
GTCS.
Yeah, Dustin Omega. This market is very, very reactive to the headlines, especially in this week and last week.
Wayfair, nothing but a green staircase today. Wayfair trading up here. Did we have news? Let me check real quick. I didn't see anything this morning, but let me just double check
from what we were looking at before. I mean, because Wayfair that was going down. It's must be just really an RSI move, unless there's some news. And they double bottomed as well. The bottom being the first bottom being back in October of 2023. They double bottomed here, low RSI. This looks like a technical move, even though I don't like the way that death cross looks.
Yeah.
Let's say that this trades back up to like 44 to 48. There's a trade in there, but I think it gets rejected if it tries to get up to 48.
Okay.
That's what I would think.
They're looking around here. Tesla looks like it backed off that high a little bit, but might resume to the upside here if it can take that high out. Jay Wild, good morning, Jay. It's great to see you again. CXAI, see if it's setting up the rule of 3 maybe here. So maybe we end up, are you talking about it breaking down through the VWAP here on its 3rd attempt? Seekin asking, what shoe, I like that, what space CHU do you think about Nike into earnings? This one, not for me. I understand why you want to trade this. We're kind of basing down here, and I totally get the idea. If we trade higher and maybe break into this gap and things turn around here, good for Nike. I would rather wait the earnings report out. I have no line here on Nike. This is not something that is a stock that's important to me that I follow all the time. So not sure on Nike. A pre-earnings trade is not for me, but I'd love to hear how you're going to play that here. And I do understand why you want to take this to the long side, given where we're at these levels. Going up on the 3rd pullback. Sorry, Jay.
Oh, yeah. I was regarding that Nike. Is that the earnings is September 26th? Well, it's unconfirmed, but it's not for over a month. So we just, I guess the trade into earnings, holding it for over a month, maybe it recaptures and fills the gap. Is that what we're looking at here with this one? Because that's a large gap to fill. And I think one of the first things you need to do is get back over that 50-day SMA. Fortunately, it has recaptured the 20, so that's encouraging. But 80 seems to be a big area or a big level of question here. Recapturing 80 in the 50-day SMA, that would be the first things that I would need to see.
Okay, the little context added to that here. Seekin was saying, swing into earnings. The PE ratio is hitting a decade low. You're also thinking they might be bolstered by back to school shopping and consolidation for a few weeks. So I see exactly where you're coming from with your thesis here. My own thought on Nike, I don't really care for Nike products, and I don't have that much attachment to them. So I would rather deploy my money elsewhere. But if what you're trying to do is trade Nike, that all of what you're saying here makes sense. I hope it works for you. And like 13 said, you do have some time. So if you didn't want to hold it into earnings, you'd have time for that trade to materialize. At least a month, it sounds like.
Yeah. See you later, Christopher. Thanks for hanging out.
Yep. Christopher, real sharp guy. Chris has got a whole bunch of really good information on stuff and does a really good job trading tactically. Really kind of focusing on it as bread and butter. So appreciate having you here every day, Chris. Have a great one.
Looks like MIGI is trying to recapture VWAP, pushing up towards that now.
Smita was asking, what is the rule of three? I believe that the rule of three that Jay is referring to came from Mitch. Jay, correct me if I'm wrong on that. I don't know for sure. But what he's saying is that after 3 pullbacks, eventually you get that pop to the upside. I think he's trying to trade that I think he's trying to catch that pop to the upside. So Jay, let me know if I got that right. And so we can give Shmita the correct answer here.
Kind of wondering
what else we got going around.
Kind of wondering if Clove is going to make a move above 2. Looks like between here and 210, there's a lot of supply to get through for CLOV. And if we get a big enough buyer to come in and take all that out, I could see this move up pretty quickly, but not seeing that quite yet. Got to wait for that volume to expand, and it hasn't done that. So not sure it's going to make that move, but this is something I'd be watching for if I'm trading this.
We can always see how this flag resolves here on CLOV. I mean, it could break down here. It looks like it's trying. We're going to know here pretty soon.
CXAI looks like it's trying to push.
CXAI?
Yeah.
Okay.
Looks like that one it's been holding above VWAP for a little bit. It looks like it's going to try to make a move up to 3.
Now this 290 has been stopping it here. I have a high print 297. Smoke Tuna, earlier today you were saying don't buy the breakouts, instead buy the weakness. What are you thinking here on CXAA? Possible play to the upside here, or are you waiting for maybe a pullback to VWAP? By the way, that last pullback to VWAP has actually been a pretty good trade here. Right before that, it snapped it and recaptured it. So patient trade right there. That might have worked on CXAI. Smoke Tuna, appreciate you getting back to me here. CXAI, too late to play for him. So good luck if you're going to play that upside break there. But I think I agree. I'd rather have this at a support level there. Good stuff, by the way. I appreciate you getting back to me.
Again, with the volume, it needs to be better than that in order to push up through there.
All righty. Let's see what else is on the scanner here. I've got, let's see, just going to roll through a couple of tickers here. BZFD looks like this popped. Did this have earnings yesterday? Let me see here real quick. BZFD. Yes, they had earnings last night, it looks like. So it looks like we're getting some more continuation from that here today. Let's take a look at MIGI, which is one you guys were on earlier. MIGI. Looks like that's actually about to reclaim the VWAP here. What else we got? FGen for you penny players. I saw that moving around here. Is that the penny stock du jour? Maybe that goes high. This really needs some more volume if you're going to trade that. I'm going to stay away from all those penny stocks. GOEV, this is also off the scanner. One we trade here fairly often. GOEV looks like this is trying to go. See the SPY pulling off the highs here a little bit. See if this ends up coming back in. Let's take a look at the Qs. They a little bit delayed. Qs actually just put in some new highs, so we'll see if this ends up rolling over here. Chipotle, ticker CMG, now down 13% in a 48 handle here. This again, folks, this is why we want to let this shake out. Still here on the long side, give me more of a discount, but let this selling pressure shake out first. No reason to be a hero. Tony's asking, did I add to my Q's short? So remember, my Q short exposure is long via the SQQQ. No, I have not made any add to this yet.
Just kind of Watching and waiting for some things to happen here. What else are we trading?
Well, this isn't much of a trade, but this can be an educational thing. I generally don't like speaking for Joel just because his experience is so much greater than my own, but I feel pretty confident about being able to answer this question here for Matt. Speaking of rules, Joel Elconin often mentions a 50% retracement. What is this? So I don't know the context that you're mentioning here, but a retracement, basically if the stock makes a move up and then retraces some of that move, he's basically setting that level at a half, retracing half of that move. I think this is what he's referring to. I speak about retracements all of the time. Sometimes we actually use Fibonacci retracements to draw levels, or to draw on a chart and then determine levels from that drawing. So I think this is what he means, Matt. If there's any more context in there, or if that doesn't make sense, let me know. Looking across here, Dow's really kind of sinking. SPY's trying to roll over. The only indice holding up here is, in fact, technology. So Q's looking pretty good.
Going to mention, but from J Wild, CLNE. This one is popping over its 200-day SMA. That's quite interesting.
Which one? CLNE, you said?
Yeah. I didn't see any news, but just looked at the chart and thought that was a nice technical move because it's been trying to recapture that for a long time. And if it closes over it, that'll be the first close over the 200-day SMA since December 2nd, 2022.
Okay. Glenn saying watch CMG now. Glenn, you think maybe the bottom has been put in here on Chipotle now? Looks like this is coming off that 48.50 level. Did we get down there? Yeah, we did.
I'm sorry. CLNE had a close on August 8th above the 200-day SMA, but it came right back in. So I think that was the first time it did it since December 22. But we're really pushing over it now. So it's a good sign.
Here, I'm going to give an example here. Smoke Tuna, I appreciate this comment. Smoke Tuna saying, Ryan, it's easy to use the fib tool to find these levels. I'm going to demonstrate that for you right now. Smoke Tuna is 100% correct. Jay here saying 50% is meaningless. That's his own number. Fibs are much better. So one of the things here that Jay's saying is that, Joel's got his own number because it's worked for him. And I'm a huge proponent of if you guys find something that works for you that you can repeat, keep doing it. It doesn't necessarily matter what a book says. Keep doing what works for you. But his comment here about the fibs being better, very, very well taken. Smoke Tuna was kind of just saying the same thing. So I'm going to use Benzinga Pro as an example here. Let's say that Starbucks closes here today. By the way, Starbucks right above its 500-day moving average. Look for it to maybe find some resistance here. Starbucks up 22.5%. Huge move for Starbucks here today. If you wanted to get levels off of this move based on a Fibonacci retracement, let me show you how to do that. In the TradingView drawing tools, the third option down here in Pro might be different on the TradingView website. Has a couple of lines here, and if you click this, you can actually see that this is the icon for the fib retracement. It's the first one in the list, and it's extremely easy to use. So I'm just going to select it, and I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to draw from the bottom. I'm actually going to use this level that we've identified here at 72. Okay, I'm going to put my starting point there, and then I'm going to just drag my mouse here, and I'm going to put the top right at the top of that candle. Now, all of these levels here, all of these different colored zones, these are all fib levels. These are your retracement levels. So if this stock comes back in, these are some of the levels that it could stop at. It is worth noting that the 50% retracement is one of these fib levels. So just keep that under your hat. This is how easy it is to use the Fibonacci retracement tool. Many traders use this. Say, go ahead and give this a shot. This is one of my favorite things for trying to predict levels when a stock comes back in. That Fibonacci seems to rear its head more often than not. Let me go ahead and get rid of this drawing, though. If you folks need any more help with that, be happy to do that. 13, sorry for rambling. Let me go back to trade the pool here, and we'll see what we got.
GNLN ripping?
Really? Let's go.
It's
curling. It's curling off
yeah.
9. It's curling off 9. Ripping might have been a little strong, but it's curling off 9 here.
It looks like it wants to try to get over 1150 here. It seems to be a bit of a resistance area right up. Well, maybe not 1150. I guess I didn't measure that very well. Pretty close though. As long as I need to look at my broker for better.
Apps, APPS getting mentioned here. What's Apps doing? Digital Turbine. We've traded this one before. Ooh, nice little green staircase there. Nice little expanding volume on that as well as this continues to push some highs. I've got the 200-day here at 350. We're only 21 cents away from that level. Let's see if we get there. On Apps,
we get a 5-minute candle close above 11 on GNLN, then I think that it's gonna try to push to 1175, which is the pre-market high. So that would be what I'd be watching for. If it can close over 11, we could get 1175.
look at Nike continuing to move here. For any of you on a shorter term day trade here on Nike, this looks pretty good. Let's see. We enter the gap at 79. I think this is actually a little bit higher. Let me see if I can get 79.05. All right, so a break of that 79 level puts us into that gap. That will be something to watch for here. Here's Lumen getting mentioned by the chat as this is at the highs. Ticker LUMN.
They had earnings?
No. Lumen didn't. No.
Had earnings. Okay.
Oh, Jay saying, I don't think so. Question mark? I don't see it on.
They had earnings last Tuesday.
8:06. August 6th was their last earnings report. Not this morning. They had, by the way, speaking of that earnings report, they had a mixed report. They cut guidance but expect a jump in free cash flow. And then the next day, Goldman Sachs upgraded them to neutral and raised the price target to 4. We're above that now. MoffettNathanson, by the way, maintained their sell and raised the price target to 3. Tony, in CMG at 48. Okay, buy alert there on Chipotle 48. I think Glenn is trading this too. So you guys are looks like you're catching a falling knife. Is that fair to say?
I mean, when I look at the chart, I guess you could say that, yeah.
I mean, it looks like it hasn't really put in a bottom there. Yeah, Jay, it's all good, man. Even the best of us make mistakes. I'm gonna give you a pass here because you regularly shoot in the 70s, and I never have.
I made the same mistake yesterday. The same mistake. I got Lumen confused with Lunar.
Happens to everybody. It even happened on the same ticker here. By the way, speaking of this was a miss on the top and bottom line for Lunar. So ticker LUNR missed on the top and bottom line on that earnings report. That was, in fact, this morning.
This thing has got some pretty high short interest.
Tony said, yep, I'm catching a falling knife. Tony, so far this is working in your favor. That low print was exactly $48 on the head. We've bounced 40 cents already here. I hope this bounce continues. We will reassess Chipotle. Like I said, I got all day. I don't need to rush into this. Also, what you're seeing here, biggest volume candle of the day, Tony. Biggest volume candle, intraday volume candle of the day. That is notable. Maybe we are getting a change in sentiment here. We'll see. But Jay saying, by the way, I'm back, Ryan. A 70 on Sunday. A 70. Jay, we you know what? This next Arizona trip, let's coordinate. I would love to just get out there with you for a loop. Full disclosure, I'm going to be asking you for some tips. A 70. Oh my God. Okay. Let's get back to the market here. Tom, like this, I believe Chipotle will bounce right back. The fundamentals didn't change. It was the CEO. The company will still be profitable as a solid company. Tom, this is exactly what my thesis is. Really quickly, I want to shout out Stay Focused as a member of our Benzinga Pro community. He also sometimes will be in here as well. He had a really, really good comment here that I shared earlier. I'm going to share it again real fast. Ryan, looking at Scott Boatwright, looking at Scott Boatwright, who's who's the COO that now takes over in the CEO role. He's been at Chipotle for 7+ years as the COO, and this is good. He was in the chair before the CEO even got there. Scott will work hard to try and hold that. The CEO is a huge promotion. I agree with you, Tom. I don't really think about. I'm just trying to think about it as practically as I can. Am I going to buy less burritos because the CEO left? The answer is no. The answer is no. So I'm with you there. I'm with you there.
I think people are going to buy less burritos because they are going to be eating at home more, and the consumer is still having a hard time.
And see, my pushback on that is that I agree with you that the consumer is going to continue to tighten, but there are some people that just don't know how to eat at home. And I think Chipotle might represent one of the trade down options because it's so inexpensive and so consistent. Now, I could be very, very wrong about that, 13, and you could be absolutely right. We'll see how it plays out here, but that's kind of how I'm looking at it.
That's why we have a market.
That's exactly right. That is exactly right.
Yeah, people. That's right. People don't know how to cook.
Pablo is absolutely right. Absolutely right. Hello, Stay Focused. Your ears must have been burning because I was just talking about you and giving you props on the Chipotle move here today. The comments about Boatwright.
But they know how to work a microwave.
Mike, your friend Mike, right? Mike Rowave. I mean, that's just sometimes you got to. Sometimes you got to use the microwave.
Yeah, that's also if short people are waving at you,
No,
that's the microwave as well.
ADW don't know how to eat at home. Anyone can eat at home. They don't know necessarily how to cook at home. They don't know how to cook for themselves, how to prepare good, delicious, healthy food at home. Chef Mike Rowave. By the way, so far, I know it's early, so we're just going to go with just a Chewbacca roar because you haven't rung the register yet. But let me tell you, the buy at 48 on the head, bro, so far that was brilliant. Nice little 50-cent pop there right off that great tactical entry on that $50 buy. Great job so far.
GNLN got that 5-minute candle to close over 11. So this next one, I'm going to be looking to see if we can get that 1175.
GNLN, yeah, this is moving.
Yeah, let's go.
Oh man, I'll tell you what. We're talking, dude. I'm going to share this. Did you read that comment from Tom in the happy hour chat? Read that comment. Tell me if you think that's good. I'm going to share this with the group here because I like this so much, and I like our community, and I like that our community really kind of shares things. So one of our happy hour members who's been doing this for like 4 decades, really been around and seen a lot of stuff here, was mentioning regarding the Chipotle Starbucks kind of news here today. As far as I can tell, Brian Niccol, which is the former Chipotle CEO, now the new Starbucks CEO, causing the price to trade up here. As far as I can tell, Brian Niccol doesn't have China experience. That is, if that is indeed the case, Brian seems like a risky pick to revive Starbucks. That is the region that presents the most problems for the company. Interesting note there. If CMG isn't even a decently, if CMG is even a decently run company, which we believe it is here, losing one executive shouldn't have a terribly negative impact on the business. In fact, it could be a positive for the company as the company is still trying to fix the Volume Gate scandal. Really sharp guy that I view as a mentor with some really good information here, and we're sharing it with you.
Oh my gosh. So about GNLN, this is great. Remember that 1175 that I was talking about?
Yep.
Well, it got it, and then it turned around.
And then it knifed right back down to the VWAP.
Hit my target. That's all that mattered. So it's getting support from the VWAP right now. Still trying to hold above 1050. Don't know if this is going to be done or not yet, but that was the move we were looking for. Couldn't get past the guys that got 1 penny higher. I have 1180 as an next upside target, which it looks like it tried to get to in pre-market and failed, and also failed here. So 1180. That's the breakout level. I think that's what it was yesterday too, wasn't it? Yeah. Kind of a breakout level yesterday.
TPST getting mentioned as that is moving here, and TPST. Michael James says eating healthy is more expensive than eating out sometimes. Preach, brother. That indeed that is the case. Indeed. And you know what? That actually makes it hard to move away from some of those cheaper foods that people get accustomed to. Felipe adding his 2 cents here. Very true. Asia Starbucks are only for the wealthy / foreigners. Other chains just as good, half the price, dominate the local market. It's this market that they're going to have to try and tap into. Interesting. Another interesting point. Sorry for interrupting you, 13. Okay. I'm going to go right to you after this. Amanda saying with CMG and Starbucks, I don't think people will cook at home more to save money, but they might skip that $6 cup of Starbucks coffee to afford the Chipotle burrito. I'll tell you this, Amanda, if I was put in that situation, that is exactly what I would do, because I would make that coffee at home for pennies on the dollar compared to what I was paying at Starbucks. I like this. I completely agree with this comment.
Well, it looks like all the movers this morning decided to stop moving.
John, I'm kind of sorry.
I was going to say, we've got CXAI going lower, MKDW sideways, GCTS sideways, CMTM, that went down and now sideways.
MKDW, that's one I haven't checked in since the beginning. You know what, though, on MKDW, so you know what this kind of reminds me? This reminds me of one of those plays that just kind of lays dormant, and then all of a sudden later on in the day, you get that expanding volume VWAP crack here. I mean, look, if we were able to get that and this thing puts in a run, moving from 142 maybe to that 220 area, I could see that actually being a good trade. Not saying that's going to happen, but maybe something to watch here on MKDW. We've had multiple tests at the VWAP, and we've been unable to take that out. Watch for that situation to change.
Soundhound hit 552 and came back in. It's beneath the VWAP now. And not get that 575 again.
Love the discussion, by the way, folks, here on CM, all of the news that we've really got here this morning. This is the type of stuff I love to do. SQQQ testing the 20-day. Like I said, I'm waiting for SQQQ to bounce here. I'm still holding this position in the red. The one thing I'll say, though, is if we get above the VWAP here and this thing really starts to go, I might consider adding to that. I'll also take a look around and see what else is going on. How are some of the tech stocks doing? Dow, by the way, is still trading down. S&P looks like it's trading down a little bit sharper than the NASDAQ. So NASDAQ kind of behind it here, but I'm definitely watching that. A move above the VWAP here on volume, maybe we'll add to this. John saying, this is the comment I was trying to highlight earlier. John Boston saying, I like to fast more these days. I feel better and just eat some meat and low carb veggies. So this is actually something I've been incorporating too. After my dinner, I might have a couple of snacks in the evening. But from that point forward, I basically don't eat until midday the next day. And I do that every day. Unless it's a Sunday morning and I need to cook a good old country breakfast. But otherwise, I do the same thing, John, and it really does make me feel better. And then when I eat that first time, I try to do something like that has protein via nuts or something like that. Something really, really light, not heavy, no dairy, in an effort just to try and kind of stay light on my feet the rest of the day. And then I'll have a traditional meal at dinner. So I've been doing kind of the same thing.
Lauren, with a interesting ticker here, ZPTA.
Ooh.
Zapata. That is a generative AI play, and they announced a couple things here. They announced that they entered into a cooperative research and development agreement with the U.S. Special Operations Command, and then they got a price target of 175, which doesn't sound great, but when it's under $1, it sounds pretty magnificent. They also have earnings tomorrow.
And this ZPTA, this penny stock, actually looking like it's trying to go higher here. By the way, Chipotle, we're going to get another Chewbacca roll. Let's do it. Chipotle, full dollar plus off the lows. Stay focused here, giving props.
Nice.
Stay focused, been in this business for a long time. You're getting props. Put your hands together. So whoever that was that Tony? Was that you, Tony? Buying at the 48 level exactly? Boy, oh boy, you got yourself a trade on your hands. Good job, brother.
Cycling through, seeing what else is moving.
Yeah, I am too, kind of.
Did we ever get a recapture of 60K? Oh, looks like we broke over 59 briefly.
Lion, take care of yourself. It's great to see you here today.
Take care, Lion.
Hope you're have a good one. We'll see you tomorrow. Chipotle almost at its VWAP here.
Wow.
Oh, 48.01.
Oh, geez.
My apologies. You missed the primo entry by 1 cent. Tony, you're getting a third Chewbacca roar for having such a great day.
Not saying that it's turning around, but Clove trying to rebound here. Might have it's trying to find a bottom off of this the selling after the pop up to 203. Trying to put in a bit of a bull flag. We'll see if that's what it ends up resolving here.
Starbucks looks like it's stopped going up. We'll see if it starts to retrace. Chipotle going to test that VWAP right now. I'm curious to see what happens here. Ticker CMG. You guys that were good on your entry here, that was a should have just followed you into that. That has nothing to do with the tech short that I'm in. I should have followed you into that.
GNLN now beneath VWAP and approaching $10 even.
There you go on GNLN.
What's the volume like on SPY? It seems like this is really slowed down. Well, we're over 537. Not liking the way that looks.
TPST here, new highs. Volume still looking pretty good. I would definitely trim into this move here if you took TPST.
Love Alice's enthusiasm.
Me too. Me too. SOXS, Amanda nibbling here on SOXS. Okay, so taking a little short tech there. Good job waiting it out, by the way. John saying, careful, this could be one of those days where we turn down and close lower at the day's end. Well, I got news for you, John. If that's what happens, I am positioned for such a move. So we'll be all right.
GNLN lost 10.
CXAI trying to regain its VWAP.
Yep.
VIX here holding at 1940. VIX not showing any signs of a market kind of turnaround here, but that could change. We've seen that change in the past. Change again here.
I'm just, a little surprised that after breaking out over 60, that the VIX came down to 20 so soon. It doesn't normally do that. It comes close, but it doesn't, it takes a more than, a week to get down to 20. So that was, that stood out to me. Yeah, CXAI VWAP, that is at 276. That's what I have. You might have a little bit of a different print.
274. So we're off by two. I mean, that's a non-factor in my opinion.
What did it get to 274?
Voodoo. I'll appreciate this. Ryan, I don't think the money flow in Chipotle is strong enough for a sustained up push. Okay, well, you know what, Voodoo? The one thing that we're seeing here that is kind of supporting that is that Chipotle, while it did bounce off that 48 level that we flagged here, it really has kind of stopped here at the VWAP, right? It ran into this resistance area, kind of stopped there, 49.25. So we're now a buck 25 off that low print. I'm curious to know what your money flow indicator would tell you if we ended up pushing through this VWAP here. Would that be enough to really kind of take us through? I suspect that would be the case.
Think about it. I don't think anybody was not listening to you. I didn't notice you saying that. I'm sorry.
No, I didn't go to he's mentioned Arcad a few times and neither of us actually brought it up. And I understand his frustration because the stock did kind of move here. So it was actually a nice move through the VWAP and moved higher here. Sorry about that, thinking about it. There was a lot going on here. It's nothing personal. We obviously appreciate you being here. And we also love the George Carlin avatar. In fact, I'm just going to go ahead and make it bigger here so we can all enjoy it.
So funny how many of the number of things that he said came true.
Yeah. Kind of ahead of his time, huh?
Oh, yeah. A philosopher among comedians. WM trying to bounce. Home Depot rebound. Yeah, they guided higher, so that was encouraging for Home Depot, and I think that initial move down was because they had said that they're something about their margin growth not being as great as there's something about their margins. I think they would cut expectations for that. Margin pressure. Looks like GNLN is trading back above 10 again.
Sorry, looking around here real quick. WIS, ELWS. Oh my gosh, what a thin thing. This was halted. Looks like it reopened here.
What happened with this one?
Not sure. Frank saying that interview last night with Trump and Elon did not work for DJT. No, it didn't. But this to me is, there are a number of takeaways from that. I'd be happy to share with you here. The overarching takeaway that I took away from that, really from the first 5 minutes after they began, is how in trouble legacy media actually is. They are completely unneeded and unnecessary. Technology is at a point now where you can get people together to have discussions, whether it's politicians talking politics, sports figures talking matchups in sports, business leaders talking about different business ideas. I mean, pick the setting, pick the participants, getting people in the know together and letting technology broadcast that to anyone that wants to hear it is just a complete breath of fresh air. Get the producers out of there, or sorry, producer Alyssa and producer AT, minimize the producer's role a little bit there. Don't allow special interests and advertising companies to dictate what goes on and what gets discussed and what opinions are okay. It was, like I said, it felt historic to me while I was listening to it. To me, it's just, I have a sell rating on any legacy media company. I don't want that at all. Sorry?
CXAI.
I'll bring it up here on screen.
While you're talking, yeah.
Are moving through the VWAP here. It was great. It was great. Those long form, more, removing from the actual Trump Elon example, those long form discussions, those are so much better than anything else that we are currently going on. I've been doing podcasts now for a while, varying different subjects, all of this long form question stuff, much more beneficial. I really think this is kind of the way we're going to arc in the future. I also talked to 13 last night regarding some ideas from the content, which we heard. I'll share. 13, you don't mind if I share that with the group here real quick?
Yeah.
So I was discussing really quickly here a couple of ideas. At one point, Trump basically told Elon he couldn't believe that he hasn't developed an electric car that has solar panels on the roof and trunk. He's very much endorsing solar powered cars. I think because something like this was discussed in such a big forum, you're likely to see companies even let's call them small fake company. And I don't want to call them fake. That's the wrong word. Smaller, kind of crummier companies might PR stuff about this that might cause or give us opportunities for day trades. But I think that eventually is coming here. They also talked about America needing some type of Iron Dome system that opens it up to projectiles, energy weapons, different types of defense companies. We all know about that. Plus, we already know some of the Iron Dome stocks. 13 had a really good call here that if they do move to a solar-powered car or supplement, batteries are going to be another area where there's likely going to be trades in. There's likely going to be information in. By the way, that IPWR stock that we've talked about here, that would play into all of this. So there's definitely some stuff in there. I wouldn't say that there's anything necessarily imminent, but it kind of got me thinking about some potential places where we can go and invest. Okay, 13. Sorry about rambling too much there.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, some of the things that I was looking at, because the whole solar powered car thing, I don't want to say it's a pipe dream, but it's very, very difficult to get enough energy captured from the sun in order to move vehicles that we're all used to driving. They got to be very lightweight. There's specialized components. Mm-hmm. So I think if we are going to start to see a push towards solar powered vehicles, I think the really good plays are going to be in the components. I think that's what we want to focus on.
Yeah, and there's a lot of intelligence to the thing behind the thing in there. 13. Mm-hmm. You can sometimes avoid specific brands if all of the brands need a specific component and this one component sells to all of those companies. That's probably a little bit safer. A lot of really good stuff in there, and we'll have some more time to unpack that.
I thought I just heard some serious screeching, like a
yeah, you did. There's something. Let me check what's going on outside here.
All right. A lot of homes use solar panels that they feed into their panels and then charge their electric cars. I think that is still the way to go. Yes, and it's for vehicles that are parked outside for a long time. Then I could see how solar powered cars would be great. It's because they'll have plenty of time to charge. That would actually be really good. So like states like Arizona, where I don't really know how much rainfall you guys have, but my understanding is it's not as much as some other states. That could be a good test market for solar panel vehicles. But I just don't think that right now we're in the space where we're going to be able to manufacture them cheaply and still be able to compete with traditional ICE vehicles, internal combustions. Yeah, and that's the other thing. EV cars, we still have to get past the battery longevity and the charge time. And if what's coming out of Samsung is actually true, that they've developed a solid state battery that they're currently sending out to these different EV manufacturers for testing, they're supposed to be able to charge in 9 minutes and have a 600 mile range. And they're supposed to last 20 years. So that would actually be great for EVs if these Samsung batteries are what they're supposed to be. So yeah, absolutely, Fairchild. I'm looking forward to seeing what we get with that. Another news, CXAI now trading above the VWAP at the moment and trying to push for 3.
Trying to go higher here. Okay. Ron Diggity saying, finally, solar-powered cars are becoming a conversation. I think you're going to hear more about that. Wist, I like this comment too. I still don't think I would eat plants for Hiroshima. I think it was Fuji.
Well, Hiroshima was where the bomb was dropped.
No. But what is the name? Why am I blanking on this? Fukushima? What is the power? Fukushima. Thank you. Jesus Christ. I'm sorry about that. Elon told a story about how he went over there and ate vegetables that were growing there just to prove that it was safe. He did that on camera. And Wiss is saying, I still don't think I would eat plants. Neither would I. I'll let somebody else do that. Fukushima. Sorry. Thank you, guys. Thank you for staying on top of me. My goodness. That's embarrassing. That's embarrassing. That's a senior moment. I'm not quite there yet.
Sometimes we get them early. All right. What are we trading, folks? Because things are Things are sideways.
Well, here, let's take a look at Chipotle here real quick. By the way, here, actually, we're going to look at two things here. SQQQ has been unable to break its VWAP here. That's one of the things I'm waiting for. Good news here is that we're not breaking down, so maybe that move down has stopped. Consider adding here as things change. Chipotle, on the other hand, we had that bounce right back up to the VWAP. Now it looks like we're testing that VWAP again. I'd be curious to see if this actually moves through here.
Jay Bryce mentioning ALB.
That's tomorrow, isn't it?
Yeah, this is a Zoltan favorite. I think he's still in this.
Down massively from its highs.
I need to see what the chemical composition of the solid state batteries are. I think they're still using lithium, but I'm not 100% sure about that. It's not sure, but if we're still going to be using lithium for a long time, then this will be better someday possibly. That's without even looking at the financials. Balance sheet is not bad.
Amanda here saying it's been a tech morning. I wonder if we migrate to defensives. Love the thought process here. Skate to where the puck is going, not to where the puck has been or is. Always trying to look forward there. I'm with you on that one. We'll see if we do go there. Chipotle here looks like it's trying to go through this VWAP. Let's see here on Chipotle. I might take a look at some calls here. Let's see. Let's see, folks.
Taking a look at that XLU. I like looking at that one for utilities. Even though I have IDU, I still like looking at XLU. We're still holding above 73, so that's good. That
September 52's looking pretty decent here. Might take a starter on that. Sorry, 13. I'm talking out loud.
Going to mention that MIGI is curling. Looks like 188 is the current bottom. I think we need a little more time on MIGI. CLNE is trying to push 380. I'm sorry, 318 is the intraday high. It's tested it twice. We're coming up again for another test. This is going to have to break through here, or it'll be an intraday triple top.
By the way, real quickly here, did fill some of the September 52s here on Chipotle. It's a starter, so I'm going to scale in and go in small here. Filled a little bit. CMG September 52 calls. As we break above VWAP. Sorry, 13. What was that ticker? I'm going to bring it up on screen here.
MIGI.
MIGI, that's right.
It was getting mentioned that it's starting to curl, and it kind of looks like it is, but I think this might need some more time. We still have some moving averages crossing each other to the downside. I wouldn't want to take a position right at this moment yet. Looks like Palantir got all the way up to 30.75, came down a little bit. Now it's trying to hold above VWAP. GCTS, another one that may be potentially curling here as well. CXAI printed above VWAP, but could not close above it, or could not stay closed above it. Very next candle went down. Now we're beneath it again.
Okay, so
Ken Baza with something that we haven't looked at yet. And
what's that?
Smoke Tuna also mentioning VEV. So VEV and ELWS. I'll look at ELWS.
Here's VEV. Maybe this is a penny stock, maybe a punch through VWAP. Here is ELWS. Was this the one that you were on earlier that came out of a halt and moved higher? Is this the same ticker? It looks like this is actually might be on the backside. Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Sorry about that.
All good. You don't have to be sorry. You didn't do anything wrong. You're a gem. You like that?
I'll just continue sparkling then.
You took that like it wasn't even a thing. It's awesome.
All right. CL, here we go. Right on the doorstep of 318. Do we break out or break down?
Go ahead. Sorry.
And the volume does not look great in CLNE. Might get to come in and just break out. And if there's any big buyer, but volume's not looking like breakout volume right now. Sorry, go ahead.
Shine on you, crazy diamond. All right. CXAI here. Smoke Tuna saying, I think it's done. Did the same pre-market and an open, and it's doing the same. So CXAI, I think that this probably isn't going to go any higher. You know, the one thing we see here on the intraday chart, got a series of lower highs here on this. So you might be onto something there. Real quickly here, a Truist analyst, I'm going to read you this little blurb out of the note. CMG Truist tells investors in a research note that the surprise departure, Chipotle CEO Brian Niccol, is an incremental negative for the stock, but is not thesis changing. And the firm still believes Chipotle is well positioned to grow share near and short and long term while expanding its margins. The firm, which made no change to its buy rating of $69, nice, views the stock pullback as a buying opportunity. So looks like that Chipotle thesis, also the thesis amongst some of the analysts covering the stock.
So I know this all sounds great, and there's analysts and everybody in the chat that we're all making really good points about the CEO transition. I can't help but think that there's always that possibility that it could end up being another Disney. And I'm not saying, because Disney was doing the same thing. It was firing on all cylinders. It was like a $200 stock almost. New CEO came in, and everything, it just went straight down from there. Everything that CEO did was this misstep after misstep after misstep. Iger had to come back in. So that's, I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen with Chipotle. It's, they don't even have the same, team of people over there. But, I can't help but think that there's always that potential for something like that to happen. The new CEO just does not hit all the same marks. There's, maybe the CEO upends some upper management. I don't know what the new CEO is going to do, but I always got to, take a little bit of dose of reality that even the strongest companies like Disney could get a change in management and go the other way.
You bring up really, really good points there. A couple of things that I would mention regarding that. Here's the chart of Disney when we saw this actually push to 200. Really kind of hung out at 180 longer than it actually printed 200, but your point's well made. What I want to say here is that we're going to have time. If that is in fact the case, we're going to have time and we're going to have data points to make that decision. We're going to see earnings reports. We're going to know if the company's not firing on all cylinders. Hell, I'm going to give you boots on the ground reports because I actually still go to Chipotle. I enjoy it so much. So you're right about that, but I think we're going to have time to figure out if that's actually materializing. The other thing that we would say is one of the reasons that I kept bringing up that comment from Stay Focused about Boatwright is because he is now being the new CEO, someone that's been there for a long time. I'm not expecting much to change. Now, that not to say that it can't. You bring up a really good point. It can. And if it adversely affects the business, you're going to be right. This stock's going to go lower. I think we're going to have some time to see if that shakes out. That's why they make a market. Yeah. It is why they make a market. Okay, Jay, you were talking about some of the footwear names. I know we talked a little bit about ON earlier going red-green after its earnings report. We also talked a little bit about Nike. Whoa, Nike didn't even slow down. This continuing to go higher here. 50-day, we are in the gap. 50-day moving average at 81.28, only 3 points away from where we're at now, right? Am I getting that right? Yeah, so Nike, big run here today. Volume is actually expanding here. It's actually not terrible action here on Nike.
Looks like CXAI is telling everybody that it's not done yet. It's trying to keep going, but volume again. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're good, man. A lot happened this morning. We have stayed on top of it from the beginning.
And we're getting CPI tomorrow still. Just wait until that print comes out. Probably get a wild market as well. CLNE, that one actually broke above 318. Going all the way up to 321. So congratulations on your 3 cents. But it didn't break down.
Guys, Q's trying to break out here. Boy, I'll tell you what, I was off on this one. I was dead wrong on this. Took a little bit of SQQQ in the pre-market. So far, this thing has done nothing but go against me. If this really starts to accelerate, I'm going to have to make a choice here by the end of the day. Down 23 cents from the entry. I probably don't want this to get any worse than 40 cents. So I'll keep you posted on that. Voodoo saying, Ryan, I get NA on strikes for CMG toss in September and December. Bro, check your settings. Never mind. Never mind. I was locked into the butterfly strikes. Okay. I was going to say, bro, I'm literally long them. I'm in them.
What do you think about the Qs going to 460 and then the profit taking happens? What do you think?
I think that would make sense. Let me look at it from a bigger here. Let's go to a bigger chart. On screen, says Picard. Let's go. Let's put the Qs on here. You're saying, what was that number again? 460?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll tell you what, 13. We'd close that gap and we'd tap that 20-day.
Yeah. Just wondering if that's what the algos are targeting.
Maybe as far as the position goes here, that should be what I'm looking at. I'm going to have to make a decision regardless, because remember, trade the pool's rules for using their margin and holding overnight are different than intraday. So I'm going to have to make a choice on how much I'm going to hold at the end of the day here anyway. But to your point, maybe that reversal is not set up to take place for another 2 points on a move up here on the Qs. We'll see.
Yeah, maybe the 50-day. We've already seen that act as resistance. Think that the 20 could do it as well. We'll see.
Is there a sense of market walkthrough yet? No, but we're actually looking to build up an FAQ, and we're actually working on that right now, Fairchild. So I don't think you're going to have to wait for very much longer.
Take care, Bob. Yeah, it seems like a lot of things were sideways. I agree that the excitement kind of died out at the very beginning.
Bob, appreciate your support, though. As 13 said, have a great one.
Yeah, there's been some bouncing around with some of these names, but man, this market just lost a lot of steam. Where are we at with the shares traded? Only 12.25 million shares today.
Jay bringing up Boot. Remember Boot Barn? Remember that short report that drove this thing down? New all-time highs here today. Boot Barn. I'll tell you what, they make great products. I got 2 really awesome hoodies from Boot Barn. I think I paid under $100 total with shipping for 2 hoodies.
Boot Barn with a broadening wedge. I mean, you could look at this as a megaphone, but ever since June, it just started going back and forth, and it just kept getting wider and wider. So the next move down could be, could go down to under 110 if it continues to do this broadening that that's showing us. What are the Iron Dome stocks? I believe one of those was KTOS, right?
Yep, KTOS. You could even throw Raytheon in there, ticker RTX, because they supply missiles for that system. KTOS is one. There's another one.
Let me.
There was one I think that got bought by Raytheon too. It was like Raphael Advanced Air Defense. RADA. It was RADA, right? The stock RADA, right? That I think that got rolled up into RTX, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, typically like the big names, but the one that I don't think is among the big names that we just mentioned was Kratos Defense and Security Solutions, KTOS. It's been having a great year. Actually, been having a great couple of years. Ever since it bottomed in December of 22, it's just been in an upward trend.
Look at Tesla, man.
Where's that one at now?
Tesla at the highs here, 206.
So that interview seemed to have done more for Tesla than it could ever do for DJT. As a matter of fact, for DJT, the fact that it wasn't on Truth Social probably is why it's hurting it so much.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. We look this we've said from the very beginning, if you're going to trade this one is not an investment. Yeah. That is still holding true. And again, to your point about this being a sell, I know that there are people that don't like Elon or Trump that are out here really kind of screaming at the top of their lungs that this thing was ruined by technical failures. Tell me you didn't actually listen to it without saying I didn't actually listen to it. Literally had a cyber attack at the beginning, and once that was thwarted, the thing went off for 2+ hours without a hitch. So that technical problem narrative, baloney.
And what did that do? What did that do for cybersecurity stocks today?
Did they react? I don't think they did react to them at all.
Well, I mean, I can see that hack and bug are both slightly up. I'm just kind of thinking, well, that was a very, very public and widely known instance. A lot of people are going to be tuning into that, so it's going to catch a lot of headlines. I think that's just the only reasoning behind it, is that it was there's a lot of attention on it, and so when everybody saw that, I think the thought was, oh, we better load up on cybersecurity. Maybe that's why it's there.
CXAI pulling. I'm sorry for interrupting you. We can go back to that, but CXAI pulling and knifing through the VWAP here.
Got as high as what, 285. Yeah.
Cyber been doing well despite CrowdStrike problems. And speaking of that, Jay, CrowdStrike actually higher here today.
So just trying to do a little dot connecting there.
Tony, this is actually a really good point here. Tony, say Elon pitched a White House job for himself. That would be good for Tesla. Some of the other things that happened there is that it was very clear that Trump would, at least at minimum, consider him for a cabinet position in his administration. That would also be good for Tesla, very much like what Tony is describing here. The job that he was talking about was an oversight committee, making sure the government spent responsibly. Can't say I would be against that.
So I'm seeing like a lot of there's only on my watch list, there's only 2 cybersecurity stocks that are not up. They are BBAI and CSPI. CSPI with a really big hit today. I don't know what. Maybe they have
BBAI, but that's that pretender AI stock that we talked about.
It's another one of those junks names that we've traded before. Yeah, they had earnings this morning, CSPI. So they're lower as a result of that. But every other stock that I'm looking at on my watch list for cybersecurity, they're all up. And this is like, over 20 stocks I'm looking at. Zscaler up, Unisys up, data storage, the ETF hack and bug are both up. Yeah. Might have been something.
Jane here saying Elon wants to be president one day. He can't.
Yeah, I can't.
On American soil or born to American-born parents in order to do that. He cannot be one. Thank you, Fairchild.
He can still be a governor. We saw Arnold Schwarzenegger do that.
How many jobs can Elon handle at the same time? Smita, this is a fair question. And I think that, Jay, I know you were saying here, Elon's not going to be in a White House position. I could actually see him turning that down for various reasons. So I understand where you're coming from here. And I agree with you. A lot of the discussion was centered around common sense. But Smita's bringing up a really interesting point here. If he did take that, how many jobs could he have? I mean, I don't know that I'd necessarily be worried about X because I know he'd be using that in his new role. But I do think he'd take more of like a hands-off approach to Tesla. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but that seems like that could be a possibility. This is not a bad thing to think about, Smita.
Yeah. Because I think he's really got his hands wrapped up with Tesla and SpaceX.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
Don't really think the Neuralink. I really don't know how much time he spends on that, but I do know it's something that they are developing. He really does want to one day have people be able to not only play video games with their brain, but also be able to regain mobility. I think that's one of the big drivers behind Neuralink, was to be able to have people who had spinal damage in some capacity been able to use parts of their body to be able to walk again using their brain. Neuralink. So.
By the way, if you're interested in Neuralink even a little bit, this is wouldn't necessarily help you with a stock trade, but just because I find the topic interesting. I'll just leave it at that. I find the topic really interesting. Joe Rogan actually interviewed Nolan. I hope I pronounced his name correct. Nolan Arbol. I'd have to look up his name. I'm probably pronouncing his last name incorrectly. But that first Neuralink patient, Joe Rogan actually interviewed him on one of his podcasts. It's a fascinating listen. If you're interested in that at all, you should probably listen to that. Taking a look here at the scanner, just kind of rolling through some of these, not really seeing anything great. At this point, I'm kind of waiting to see if we get any type of reversal on the market. Did open up 2 new trades here. Short-term day trade, SQQQ. That one's gone against me, but I'm still in it. And then in the main account here, took a long Chipotle swing trade So those are the two trades today. Sorry, which one? CMG?
CMTM.
CMTM, excuse me.
From earlier this morning, it's this one's curling and is now back above VWAP. Volume needs to get be a little bit better, and it's coming up into a supply zone. But this one could get moving here soon. We've seen how these can, move later on in the day. So that might be what's happening here with this one. But yeah, last time you were talking about these big indexes that are having much better moves today, or CMG, or the other ones we were looking at, like Starbucks. It's not a whole lot going on.
Nope.
Nike, is that pulling back now? It's still up there. Tesla is going to, it looks like it could fill this gap, it looks like it already did. Maybe even test the 50-day and the 500-day SMA at the same time.
I got something for you guys. So regarding the Chipotle and Starbucks, friend of the show, Nick Brown, actually just tweeted, it looks like this is a note from someone from Bank of America. He posted a screenshot of the note, so it's going to give you some analyst context too. Nick is a very good friend of our show here. I'm going to go ahead and share his tweet. Anyone interested in that, there it is in the chat. You can actually take a look at the screenshot of the note itself. Pretty cool stuff there. CMG looking like it's trying to go through its VWAP here, folks. By the way, right around the corner here at 13, I'm not trying to shoo you out of here, but right around the corner here, we've got Anne-Marie coming up for some trading action. I got less than a minute left here in the show. 13, did you have any closing words or closing thoughts on the day here today?
Well, I was just going to see myself out, but no. Unfortunately, today wasn't as exciting as yesterday. Maybe that's just because we haven't had the whole day play out yet. There might be some more stuff after the lunch hour. We've seen how that happens before. If this is what you're going to be waiting for, hope things work out for you. If not, and you're done for the day, sitting on your hands, it's probably a smart move as well. I'll see you tomorrow. Maybe CPI will give us a little bit more price action. 13.
A wonderful job as always. Have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you on the happy hour, and we will see you tomorrow. Take care.
Bye.
All right, that is 13, folks. And I gotta find my mouse here real quick. Boom. All right, he leaves a spot open for the one and only Anne-Marie. Anne-Marie, happy Tuesday. How are you doing today?
Pretty good. How about you?
Pretty good. Look, when I woke up today, I was like, boy, I think we're probably going to be talking a little bit about what took place last night with the, let me make sure I get the right banner here, with the Musk Trump conversation. But then, Anne-Marie, boy, we got a whopper of a news piece this morning. Chipotle CEO Brian Niccol leaving the company and going to Starbucks, which is in desperate need of some help here. So I'm thinking, obviously, both of those stocks here affected massively. Chipotle down almost 12%. Starbucks up over 20% at one point. Might still be. I don't actually have it on screen here.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. So I think then that just given the news that we're looking at here today, perhaps that's somewhere where we start with potential trades. Okay, let's do that. Now, I am going to throw out the call out here to the chat. Let us know if there's anything that you want. Amanda didn't even wait for us to do that. Already has some things to add in here. The Meta vertical from yesterday is already up 25%, and the Eli Lilly butterfly up 100%. Looks like you're helping people bank already, Anne-Marie. So what do we got here? What do you want to do first?
So we can look at CMG. Now, I have to say, as somebody that ran a recruiting company, for him to jump ship and go to Starbucks, I can't even imagine what his compensation package looks like, although we will get to see its details at the next 10Q.
You think this is one of those things where it's like The Godfather, the offer you just could not refuse?
Well, digging into that Godfather analogy, I'm going to say probably not.
Okay.
However, I was shocked that
Okay.
the move was as dramatic, which says an awful lot about the gravitas he carries around, right? This guy must be something else for
Yeah.
folks to look at. So there's a lot of reputation that's going to sit there, but also from my decades of recruiting, it is the vision that takes someone ahead, but it's the minions that keep things afloat. And so I would say that CMG is actually sitting in a pretty nice spot for a spread that might be a good put spread. If we're thinking about a complete recovery, I'm going to say no. They're going to want to see next earnings to see what's happened. And, maybe there's somebody has arrived at their right now moment, right? Somebody got a tap on the shoulder and said, hey, listen, you're going to be our interim CEO until we find the next guy. And if you blow the doors off, maybe you get a shot at sitting in the chair for a little bit. So,
well, I will say this, the CEO that's taking over is the former COO. His name is Scott Boatwright. He was there actually for 7 years prior to Nichols even showing up, and is a 20-year veteran of Chipotle. So he's well aware of how the company works. He knows the people there. And I think most importantly, from what you just said, he knows those minions that are still helping that company move forward here. So just a little context to what you were saying there.
Yeah, good. That's good to know. There are all kinds of things we could talk about from a recruiting shuffling. When you're the second man and you move up to the top after you've got a lot of seniority, other people that have seniority start thinking to themselves, yeah, but I remember him 10 years ago. It's just sort of like, that's why the military, every time you get a promotion in the military, they move you. It's just one of those super interesting things that they do. Anyway, that being said, let's hop to this. I, though not a fan of Chipotle as an eatery, I would say as a company, it's been doing fairly well until this reverse stock split that now has it in a little bit of a spiral. So what I would suggest is, first think to yourself, how do you look at Chipotle? Do you think, hey, this is a stock that I believe a lot. I don't know what institutional ownership is. Does the Benzinga Pro platform tell us that?
Yeah, it will give you a percentage here on institutional ownership. I'm not sure if that's the data point that you're looking at.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, institutional ownership 4.74% as of the last read.
Okay, so not that much. Typically driven by retail. And so we could see a little bit more of a downdraft. The next line in the sand is $43. And so in my mind, I would say if you love the stock and you go, hey, this is a good time for me to have a peek at it, it's for an ATR for a monthly range is, $6. And the thing's already moved $6.50 from just this morning. Mm-hmm. So it's well outside of its range. So you can do two things. The first one is, all right, estimating that it's well out of its range and it could potentially hold. You could sell the 49.44. I can't, oh, for heaven's sakes, Anne-Marie.
Yeah, and I was going to say, is there any chance we can make that bigger? If not, it's okay. I will spend more time reading out the numbers. No. But it is, I mean, it is difficult to see.
Yeah, I had to change my system because I had some things go very bad over the weekend. And so, maybe
look at that. Night and day difference.
Kaboom. All right. 249 to 44 gives us a $5 spread. Wow, that's not bad for 1 month. a $1.55 is almost 30% of the $5 spread, right? And so that gives us a pretty good shot at a short put. You want to put an alert down there at 49, assuming that it holds. Right now, let's go again. Anne-Marie, why'd you pick 49? Well, it's not the low, obviously, but it is the high. It's well over the high of the ATR for the entire month, right? So this stock has moved from its high to its current low. It's moved $9, which is 150% of its ATR. That's very, very big. Okay. So the month before, it moved 49 to 62. So that's $13. That's almost twice its ATR. So it's getting to a space where the excessive motion is saying, you know, let's pump the brakes, see if we can recover 50, and then we'll get out of Dodge. Is this a risky bet? I would say yes. Why? Because we're very close to the edge and we're giving ourselves literally 50 cents of error. But on the flip side, that 50 cents of error will be, you know, I'm going to know immediately if I'm wrong because it's going to lose the edge. This thing will drop about 20 cents, falling off the rails, because what is my 40? Oh, gee whiz. Let me show you how to back of a napkin delta on these. You take the 44 and you minus the 49s.
I hate when they split and they give you all these weird values in the option chain. It's a little thing, but it just aggravates me. It's one of those things where it throws off my concentration. Yeah.
So we've got 43 delta here, and we've got 18 delta there. So 43 minus 18, you know, something like 20. So it's a 20%, a little bit more than a 20% chance that this goes into the money, and that we lose some on it. So still not bad, right? And so I would say this is a nice clean way. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, listen, I love Chipotle. I think it's a well-run company. It's going to recover. Then, and you want a little bit of time, we're going to have increased volatility. And so we can go into December and choose that same spread. And that's, oops, nope, not 26, friend, 25. It's going to give you 60 cents more. There, 40, what was that, 50? 155. It's going to give you 40 cents more, but you're going to have to stare at it for another 90 days. So in my mind, I'm like, no. I would say just stick with the September and run it that way. That's a really nice way. So my thought is this chart is not going to fall off a cliff. Now, if I'm wrong and we say, all right, let's give this a little bit of room, and we go to September and we say, well, maybe it's going to lift that $6 back into positive. You can also look at that. We can look at maybe 54 or 53, and then maybe do the 58. If you want it, I don't like butterflies that are this narrow, but if you choose a butterfly with $3 of spread, you end up having 28 cents for $300 of motion. But I think they're going to have to digest what's going on here in Chipotle. Now, let's take a look quickly at Starbucks.
Okay.
So, does Starbucks need revamping? I think so. I think Dunkin' Donuts is really eating their lunch, euphemistically and literally. And so, is this a reflexive action? Yes. But again, I think it's bullish for them. They need the help, and they might give this guy benefit of the doubt, right? And if they give him the benefit of the doubt, then we've got this area near, what is this number? 72 that we could also position from. I don't see this as a runaway train at all.
Me either.
Right. And so I say a nice bull put spread at about maybe 70, 65. Let's see what that gives us.
And by the way, that 72 level that you just spoke about, that was massive double bottom support that was recently put in by Starbucks there. So that level kind of jumps off the page.
Yeah, absolutely.
One more piece of context here real quick,
please.
Anne-Marie. I definitely want you to finish out this trade. But again, just because this is the news that everyone was talking about this morning, one of the guys in our happy hour who's really kind of up on a lot of this stuff, former analyst, been doing this for 40 plus years, said that he viewed the pick for from the Starbucks angle, taking Brian Nickel from Chipotle, viewed it as kind of a high risk move because Nickel doesn't have any experience with China, which is the biggest market that Starbucks really kind of needs to turn around. So not saying that it can't work there, but kind of a peculiar pick given the track record there. We talked about how much gravitas he must actually have for the stocks to react this way. But just wanted to kind of throw that out there. Seems a little bit interesting that the person picked really doesn't have a whole lot of China experience.
Yeah, that's a great point. Having not been to China yet, though it is on my list, I would have, that's got my wheel spinning here. So
yeah, maybe I should have given that to you after the trade setup. Sorry about that.
No, that's perfect. That's perfect. Because if you're saying, wait a second, something might give here, then we look at this $16 event, take a look at how far it is outside the ATR, right? For the whole month, it's gone from 72 to 93. So that's about 20 something bucks. That's almost 3 times the ATR. So let's say it comes back to fill the gap, right? Let's say it builds the volume profile in here because we know there's literally nobody conducting business in this small pocket until today. So that creates a little volume profile dip. Let's say it comes back into that zone. And so maybe 80 is where it ends up. Let's take a peek at, if we went to October, when is the next earnings event for these guys?
For Chipotle or for Starbucks? Let me grab it for you. Yep, let me get that for you here real quick. Had it just on screen a second ago.
Benzinga.
Yep. All right. Calendar earnings. The Starbucks report. So the most recent report was just on July 30th. The next one is unconfirmed, estimated for October 31st. So Halloween is when that next earnings report is going to be due, thereabouts.
Okay. So if we said, hey, this thing's going to fall right back into range and it gives back half of its move, half of that ATR, we literally could buy that 80 put, and I mean, it could be worth quite a bit. Now, I so not a fan of buying single options outright. So I would probably piggyback it and go 80 to 70 because I don't think it's going to go to 70. But if it comes down to 80, look at the move from out of the money to at the money, right? This one is really at the money. It's 520. And so we're looking at a move from about $66 to $5, $66 to $520. And so that buy of that put looks fairly reasonable. Take a look at what the open interest and the volume packed in today. A lot of people sitting right here at this edge, right? So they're either buying the puts as protection or selling the puts as a bullish event. I'm going to take the other side of that bet and say they're buying protection up here. So that actually, sorry, you know, when I really start thinking, my lips stop moving because the gears back here are, actually, it's not even gears. It's a bunch of Post-it notes that have no sticky left on them. That's what's going on back there.
You're going to have to sort through the ones that have
yeah,
okay.
Exactly, dude. So, you know, that's why I stop talking sometimes when you tell me things and I go, wait, what? Yeah.
You know what though? You know, just because kind of really quickly as kind of an aside here, I'll be honest, there has been a number of times where I've been kind of constructing a thesis for a swing trade of maybe a similar time length, and I go through the very things that you're going through. I'm looking over data points and I'm trying to think on the fly. I do it when I'm on the show here too, where I'm trying to talk and think at the same time, and I ended up embarrassing myself. This is how sometimes trade theses go, right? You're trying to compile all of this information and then make the best educated decision that you can. There's going to be back and forth and give and take with that. So totally understand it. Don't worry about that.
Absolutely. And really, to the person who's watching and listening and saying, you know, I want to be a better trader because I listen to Ryan and 13 and all the folks that come on the show day after day after day, Zunate, who's coming up behind us again. So you have to, when you put on a thought and you go, oh, I'm going to flesh that out. You must think at the end of it, wait a second. What if I'm wrong and somebody's taking the exact opposite side of that trade?
Absolutely.
What is that going to look like? And you have to expose your mind to the opposite side of an event, or you're going to be, you know, you're going to be hit by a tidal wave if things go awry. So I like this. It's very cheap right now because the stock has moved so much. If you were thinking, hey, it's going to hold its own and travel upward, you could also do a little bit of a bullish butterfly from 100 to the 105, right? 100 being that sweet spot. If you're thinking that's going to move high, and it'll be, you know, $75 to make 500 if that turns out that way. So it gives you a short action event and a long action event. And if you're thinking about it going, well, maybe I can do both, then, you know, nothing's wrong with that. Why would I not turn the October into a butterfly? One, I'm only going to collect 9 cents. And two, if the wheels come off the bus, then there really is no way for me to make a ton of cash. Let's say this fell out of bed for some reason and it went to 60. That would be completely worthless. But if I just have the vertical, it's going to be worth $1,000. And so better to look at it that way. I don't think it's moving up, but if it did, listen, here's the great thing. If this thing moves up, say $3, right? And it moves into, say, 96, you could come into the beginning of October and go, I'm just going to sell my 95, 100 long call spread, and I'm going to let that 100, 105 erode, which is really what we did with SMCI. So that being said, that's what we'll go there. Does anybody have other ideas about trade events they want to talk about?
I haven't seen any other. There was just the Meta follow-up and the Eli Lilly follow-up. AKAM, I know we did that one recently. That, by the way, that butterfly that you gave out is also up. That's across the board. Those things are trading up. Gerald is mentioning, or Gerald, excuse me, is mentioning CrowdStrike as a swing into next week. We've done a CrowdStrike one recently.
You know
what we haven't done recently is
what?
Nvidia. Yeah, do you
Perfect.
have?
Yes.
And you just saw the heat map there. I saw Nvidia literally glowing green. I feel like we haven't done one of these. And I'll be quite honest with you. I don't know what you had planned here, but for Butterfly, I feel like given where we're at right now, this stock can go in either direction.
Absolutely.
So to me, this seems like the play to do.
It is. And we actually have one. We have a butterfly in motion. So let's talk about it a little bit. Let's go through what are we seeing? So if we have the ATR on the month, this thing has really been expanding outside of its monthly range for a while. But here's what's interesting about this chart. You can see that people aren't afraid to buy. They just aren't holding. And people aren't afraid to sell. They're just not holding those shorts. They're getting shoved out of the way. So you are spot on about what a potentially big move coming in NVIDIA and what it might look like. So the earnings event is on the 28th, which means that we can't use the options expiry right here, but this is the, let me move this up a little bit. I've got several trades on here that are, we're not going to look at here, but we are going to cover, it over here so that we can see why it is that we're choosing what we're choosing. So we'll go from scratch. All right. So they're coming in here. We have two kinds of trades. We could say, all right, I want the trade that expires right after earnings. It's either make it or not. It's the dash event. I don't love those because it puts our back against the wall in case or instead. And so I would either say the 20th or the 13th. Those would be the ones. But if you are so inclined, you can choose the butterfly from the 30th. So let's take a look at the ranges. Okay, so we filled the gap that was in here. Let me expand this. Fill the gap. We've been bouncing like mad. Now take a look at why we bounced. Well, why is a relative term. We don't know why we bounced really. But we can say this. When a gap fills, the traders have the choice to say, you know, I am going to get involved after the gap fills. And so the gap actually fills in one day. And then they come back and they test the edge of the gap again. And they hold out to the break. So 100 is now the line in the sand. If it doesn't, sorry, go ahead.
No, I just said, okay, that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. So 100 is this line in the sand. And if they don't hold the 100, they're going to fall right back to the base of the gap. Now, what has the move been like lately? I mean, we've had gigantic moves in this stock one way or another. The last earnings events have just been savage. This one might surprise simply because SMI did some surprising, but it could also surprise to the upside. So I'm going to look at resistance at about 130. I'm going to look at support at about 100. And we're going to build from there.
Okay.
So 130 and 100. So here's the 100 butterfly. Let's do, whoops. That is a lot of volatility there. That's going to be expensive. 90 to 80, 87 cents on the weekly. And then 130 to 140 to 150. All right. So now the beauty is that these are both about $15 apart from the actual price. That's why they're so close in price. So it's $160, $170 with $1,000 upside. Either it goes up back to the 130s or it doesn't. Now, you might go, whoa, that's pretty far. If we want to go to 90, that's going to be $24. And same thing here. If we want to go to 140, that's about $25. Okay. So a big move. We're not seeing that size of motion. So here is the first earnings event from 95. It opens up at 100 and closes at 105, $10 up. And then the very next day, it just runs off the rails and continues to the upside. My thought is this doesn't give it enough time to move. If you want to try the 13th, you can see it gets a little bit more expensive from a put perspective. That's very interesting. It means there's more implied volatility in that chart. Mm-hmm. Or you can go to the September expiry. Also a ton of implied volatility in September. That has to do, in my mind, with the approaching election cycle, mm-hmm. the approaching interest rate cycles, all kinds of things here, things with the EU, this, that, or the other. So
any chance that September being statistically one of the weaker months on a seasonality basis, might that also play into it as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. So there you have it. A little bit more expensive, but certainly right in the wheelhouse of expectation. Because if I lose 100, I'm going to fall to 90. So the question is this. Sometimes you have to pay up to put yourself in the right position. And this might be one of those times. If you say, well, maybe I don't go to September 20th. Maybe I go to the 13th. I don't have to nurse it for as long. And it gives me what I need. Or, you choose one side of it and say, I'm not going to do a sideways position. I'm just going to say, I think this is going in this certain way. So either one.
That's actually what I did on Chipotle this morning. And looks like so far I've chosen correct. Really quick here. Amanda's saying, is there a reason I can't go a little further out to get some wiggle room with these strikes and just close them early? I think this is what you just covered. So Amanda, let me know if you got your question answer here, because she had asked this right before you had changed those expiries into the September expiry. So I think that you covered this preemptively.
Yes. And I have to give props to Amanda, because I talked to her on occasion in
awesome.
the Benzinga Pro platform.
Awesome.
And she asks some excellent questions. So take a bow, Amanda, wherever you go.
That's what we like to see. Amanda also joins the happy hour. She's been a mainstay here. She's clearly following what's going along here. I appreciate you mentioning that, because one of the things that you and I talk about all of the time is how great our community can be. Even if you're not asking questions, there's likely going to be a question that you can benefit from. So don't be shy about that. Yeah, I asked before. She said it, got it. Didn't like being trapped in the August expiry. So good stuff there. Good stuff there. Okay. She says, I really am fantastic, Amanda. Yeah, humbleness will get you everywhere.
What? And I love it. Hold your head high, honey.
There you go. All right. Really good stuff here today, Anne-Marie and Amanda. Boy, the AM's really popping off here today. That's really good stuff there. So, all right. Anne-Marie, thanks very much. We're going to have you back on Friday right? We're going to be good to go
Yes.
for another one on Friday. Until then, stay green, stay safe, folks. You as well. Have a great one. Anne-Marie, take care. We'll see you next time.
Take care.
All right, everybody. We'll see you